Let's take a look at the Buffalo Bills now, selecting number 21 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft. 9-7 on the year, went to the playoffs for the first time in this millennium, Tom, and now they have a question mark with Tyrod Taylor. What do they do there? They could look at the defensive line as well if they'd like.
Look, we did not project trades in this, and I had suggested it. It was said, maybe not yet. At some point, we will have a mock draft with trades, by the way, folks. We will have one. The Bills will not keep both of their first-round picks. I fully expect them to package them in an attempt to move up to get a Josh Allen, to get a Baker Mayfield, one of those guys. Buffalo, and this is why I don't have Lamar Jackson going. They clearly don't like Tyrod Taylor. Why would they like Lamar Jackson? Mm-hmm. They're a little bit too similar when it comes to its running ability here. So with the Buffalo Bills, I think we have them keeping these picks. So they're not going to go Lamar. They're not going to go Mason Rudolph. I think they move to get a quarterback. So just keep that in mind as we get through these two picks here. We're kind of go, I think, these back-to-back since the Bills have the 21st and the 22nd overall pick. I think, by the way, they'll target defense here unless it's a receiver that they love on the board.
Let's go to number 21. And Tom, you got Daron Payne, defensive tackle out of Alabama, going to the Bills.
I saw some comments in here about Payne in the earlier mentions. He doesn't bring the pass rushing that you would see in the stat sheet. The tackle for loss and a sack. Oh, that's a two-down lineman. He's not going to go in the first round. But he's actually a really good athlete. And we've seen him have the ability to maybe learn some of those pass rush moves. So a team, I think, will say, man, if the dude can catch touchdown passes, we can help him learn how to rush the passer. So I think a team like Buffalo, who needs new defensive linemen, will say, okay, let's take Payne as our run stuffer, teach him how to be a pass rusher a little bit more, and we'll develop him into a really good defensive lineman. And with Buffalo having 2 first-round picks as they sit right now, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go get a defensive lineman. If Vita Vea and Maurice Hurst are off the board, that's where someone like Payne makes sense for them. I think Buffalo would prefer a run stuffer over a 3 technique in the short term as we sit right now.
Well, you have it right there at the bottom of your screen. Wowed in the national championship game. I think that does wonders when your tape looks good in a national championship game. Am I wrong there?
I totally agree with you.
All right.
And I think, like, we've seen it time and time again. I mean, look at Kevin Dodd. Skyrocketed up the boards because he ended the year well. So a guy like Payne, who maybe would have been a second-round pick before the championship and the playoff, I think now gets a little bit more first-round consideration.
All right, Tom, the Bills are picking back-to-back here. 21 overall, Daron Payne. Let's go to number 22. And Tom, you got Jaire Alexander, cornerback out of Louisville, going to Buffalo.
Different Louisville guy again. I don't think the Bills are going to keep either of these picks. I think they're going to move way up to get a quarterback. I think in a future mock draft show, we'll have some trades projected, and you'll see Buffalo move way up to get their quarterback. So if they stand pat, with cornerback, I love Trey White. He is great. E.J. Gaines was better this year.
He was good, yeah.
I don't trust E.J. Gaines yet. He was not that good in L.A. I don't know if that was a flash in the pan type year. He's also a free agent. So is Sharice Wright. So is Johnson. I think the Bills will look for a cornerback early, and I think Alexander with White on the outside, that's a really good 1-2 combo. And Alexander was hurt this year, didn't put up the great numbers. That's why you see only 19 tackles and a pick and a couple of pass breakups. But he's a good athlete. He's a cover corner. He played through those injuries. He'll also make some aggressive plays. He's a little bit more of an aggressive corner, which does get him into trouble. But with the Buffalo Bills and Alexander, it gives them the opportunity to upgrade the cornerback position. I think that's what Sean McDermott wants. The defense gave up yards this year, but they made a lot of turnovers. They forced a lot of them. That should kind of regress more to the mean on both sides of the ball, so they do still need help on defense. And a guy like Alexander helps bring that.
All right, Tom, you got Jaire Alexander going to the Buffalo Bills at number 22 overall. Selecting number 23 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the LA Rams are the #1 scoring offense a year ago, went to the playoffs. What do we make of this team?
2 areas they are going to look at here. Cornerback #1, especially if they lose Tremaine Johnson. I still think they could get a deal done. If they lose him in free agency, they got to go out and sign somebody else or spend a high pick. They also need an edge rusher. And I know that They have Robert Quinn. He was better this year. Got a pretty hefty price tag. I'm not convinced he'll be back. Connor Barwin is a free agent. I don't know if Matt Longacre is an actually number 2 or better edge rusher. So I think if you're the Rams, you are going to look at cornerback, edge rusher in some order with your first 2 picks. And the edge rushers make a little bit more sense with the way the board fell in this particular mock draft.
All right, Tom, let's get to your pick at number 23. And you've got Marcus Davenport, edge rusher out of University of Texas, San Antonio.
Oh, I think Melvin, who's had a pretty good track record of predicting my selections here, had it right again.
Melvin, crushing it.
Marcus Davenport. And with Davenport, he was not great at the Senior Bowl. Like, he was good in the game. But the practices, he wasn't making much of an impact. He is not ready yet.
Okay.
Now, the upside is there. And you put him with Wade Phillips,
yes,
and
please.
he is going to get to that potential. But he is not worth the top 10 pick that you could see him end up going. He is a projection upside selection. I know that the tackles for loss and the sacks there are there, but it was UTSA. He didn't win the way you want to see edge rushers win. A lot of them were just, I was faster, I was stronger. That's not going to work in the NFL. His moves aren't there. The upside is absolutely there for Marcus Davenport, and he's worth this particular pick. But my fear is he's going to go like top 15. And a team's going to say, you know what, let's spend a high pick on him, and he doesn't make that immediate impact. But with LA, he reaches that potential. We like to say and like to believe that fit doesn't matter, but it absolutely does. And LA's fit with Davenport, with Wade Phillips, is a perfect one.
All right, so there is Davenport going number 23 overall to the LA Rams. And selecting number 24 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, they went 11-5 last year, but they could have been so much better if they had some help on the outside.
Well, they seem to like their receiving core. I'm just kidding. No one likes their receiving
exactly.
core. Devin Funchess did step up, and I'll give him a lot of credit for that. He took a big step forward after I thought he might end up being a bust. But there are other receivers outside of Devin Funchess. Curtis Samuel, who is a slot guy. Russell Shepard, who's a great special teamer. And then they've got free agents in Charles Johnson, not the edge rusher, the actual receiver. Brenton Burson and Kalen Clay.
Tom, don't make up names.
Yeah, exactly. So they need wide receiver help in a big way. Safety's also an option, as is guard if they lose Andrew Norwell.
Very important.
But I think receiver makes maybe the most sense for Carolina as we sit right now.
Let's go to the pick, number 24. You said receiver, there is one. James Washington out of Oklahoma State.
I think Christian Kirk also makes sense here. I saw that in the comments section. Doesn't have the greatest size. He checked in under 5'11" at the Senior Bowl. That's his exact measurements, 5'10" and 7/8", but he's got pretty good arms. And what does James Washington do best? He beats people downfield. He is a big play machine. That sounds like a pretty good fit for Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I have as much success in the NFL than he did against bad Big 12 secondaries, but I think what we'll see happen is a team will say, you know what, we can make him into more than just a go route guy. We can make him into a more well-rounded wide receiver. And what will happen is Carolina will take James Washington. He'll have immense success running the vertical route, and then they won't actually do anything else with him except for that. But you know what? That's okay, because he and Cam Newton should be a really good pairing. Let Washington go beat people downfield and have Cam Newton air it out deep to him off the play action. That's perfect there.
All right, so there is James Washington at number 24 overall going to the Carolina Panthers. All right, folks, let's summarize what we have so far. If you're just joining us on the program, we've got you covered. We'll go through all the picks here. Start things off 1 through 4. Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Quentin Nelson, and Saquon Barkley. Followed by Baker Mayfield at 5, Josh Allen at 6, Bradley Chubb at 7, Calvin Ridley at number 8 here as we check in with the next 4. Minkah Fitzpatrick at 9, Roquan Smith at 10, Connor Williams at 11, and Derwin James at number 12. Getting towards the middle of the pack now. Tremaine Edmonds at 13, Denzel Ward at 14, Josh Jackson at 15, Courtland Sutton at number 16 to the Ravens. Followed by 17 through 20 here, Maurice Hurst, Orlando Brown, Vita Vea, and Darius Geis. Couple of Bills picks here, Daron Payne, Jaire Alexander, Marcus Davenport, and James Washington going to the Carolina Panthers. This is NFL Daily here on Chat Sports Facebook Live, presented by AutoList. Looking for a used or new car? Tired of browsing a million sites? Go to Autolist.com to browse the largest source of inventory on the web, or download their top-rated mobile apps for iOS and Android today, Tom.
You know, I made the move to Dallas. I held off on buying a car, but it's kind of getting to the point where I'm an adult. I kind of need to have a car to get around places. Even though
That's important.
I've been surviving so far, and I hated the other sites. Like, I'm trying to go to all these different sites. AutoList allows me to do it all in one spot. Saves me so much time.
Chat Sports has all the sports stories that you have in one spot. AutoList has all the listings for cars out there in one spot. Saves you so much time. Many thanks to them for sponsoring NFL Daily today. Let's continue along in our 2018 NFL mock draft. And selecting number 25 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the Tennessee Titans. 9-7 in 2017. New regime now with Vrabel, Tom.
I am curious what they end up doing, because I don't think Tennessee is that far away from having a really good team. Now, they're in a weird spot because they were not as good as their record says they were. If they play the exact same way, they're going to finish with like 6 or 7 wins. So they have to get better to just maintain their record. But at the same time, I don't think they're that far away. I don't think they have that many needs. I think you could look for a better edge rusher, maybe get some more offensive lineup if you lose Josh Klein. But I think that the Titans are a competent offensive coach and coordinator away from being better than their 9-7 record indicates.
Okay, so there are the Tennessee Titans at number 25. Let's get to that pick. All right, Tom, you've got Harold Landry, edge rusher out of Boston College, going to the Tennessee Titans. Best as a 3-4 outside linebacker in your eyes, very disruptive for the Eagles last season.
I think he's a great fit for Tennessee. And I think he could go to the Rams as well if Davenport ends up going earlier. He wasn't as good this year as he was last year. He probably should have gone pro a year early. 22 tackles for loss and 16.5 sacks. Those numbers more kind of got cut in half this year, actually a little bit more than half. But I think he fits well as an edge rusher. I don't know if he's quite the athlete as a Vic Beasley, but that's kind of who he reminds me of in terms of play style. I like Landry quite a bit. I think he's a solid first-round pick. I think he'd be a great fit for Tennessee. And I think they could use another edge rusher. I don't know if Derek Morgan and or Bryan are going to be back next year as an edge rusher. And I don't think Kevin Dodd is going to be the option here. I think he's kind of more robust, and that's a little bit disappointing. But I think in the Titans, you say, you know what? All right, let's check some needs. Who's the top guy that has a need? All right, Harold Landry. It makes sense for Tennessee. I think it'd be a good, strong fit. And I think it'd be pretty solid value here as well.
All right, so there's Harold Landry going number 25 overall to the Tennessee Titans. And selecting number 26 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons. 2017 record 10-6, went to the playoffs, took down the Rams in the wild card round, lost to the Eagles in the divisional. They are strapped for salary cap space, so they either need to make some cuts or really hit a couple of home runs in the draft.
Here's the good news. Atlanta has the most complete roster in the NFL. They don't have a ton of needs. They need a nose guard for Dontari Poe. They can get by with an iffy guard that they have right now. Safety is not the worst spot with Keanu Neal out there and any other guys as well. Like, Atlanta's team should be so much better, but Steve Sarkisian brings them down, but they're going to give them another shot anyway, so that's okay. So Atlanta, I think they're looking, all right, who's the best guy on the board? I think they happen to find a guy here that fills a need as well, and I think this is a player that you could even see go in the top 20 as well, Cam.
All right, let's go to number 26 overall. Tom, you have Isaiah Wynn, offensive guard out of Georgia, going to the Falcons here.
Plug him in as their other guard, and they are set. They can play him over Wes Schweitzer. I think he's a bit more of a better athlete guard than most guards. Now, he played left tackle at Georgia. He doesn't have the size or the arm length to be a tackle. He's not going to be able to survive out there unless you lose both tackle standards. You have to play someone in there because you're absolutely desperate. So with Isaiah Wynn, you plug him in as a guard. He's a 10-ish year starter. I think positional value drives him down, but he could go in the top 20, maybe a team like the Dallas Cowboys. I like Wynn a lot. I think he's a good fit for Atlanta. makes an offensive line, their good offensive line, even better. I think the fit and pairing makes sense, and this is the right range for Isaiah Wynn as well. I like what he brings to the Falcons. He's played guard in the past as well, even though he's been a left tackle. I just don't think he can be a left tackle in the NFL.
At 6'2", does that height concern you at all?
At guard, no. At tackle, yes, because height is often directly related to arm length. His arms don't have the ideal length either. But you plug him in at guard, and he's going to be in a great position in the NFL.
All right, so you got Isaiah Wynn going to the Atlanta Falcons at number 26 overall. And selecting number 27 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the New Orleans Saints, 11-5 on the year. Tom talked about a team that didn't have many needs, the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Saints kind of fall into that boat too.
They're going to continue to look at quarterback, though, because Drew Brees will not be able to play forever. I did consider Lamar Jackson, but I think NFL teams are lower on him than they should be, and I think some of the commenters agree with me on that one. So with the Saints, I'm still looking at defense. Now, they're not going to bring back Nick Fred, but they have some solid defensive tackles, and Sheldon Rankins and David Unmata look pretty good, but I think you would like another guy there. Same with edge rusher. Al Okafor is a free agent. Trey Hendrickson might be the guy long term. I'm also looking at linebacker. Gerald Hodges and Michael Mowdy are free agents. You could cut Manti Te'o and or Nathan Stupar and or Craig Robertson. Te'o's been solid. Robertson isn't bad. A.J. Klein is the highest paid. He's been okay. You're banking on Alex Anzalone. And I love Anzalone when he's on the field. But he's been the same player from now and college. He can't stay healthy. And it just so happens there's a linebacker who really probably shouldn't go this late in the NFL draft.
All right, so let's get to the pick, number 27. Tom, you've got Rashaan Evans, linebacker out of Alabama.
I saw some comments about Leighton Vander Esch. We'll get to him in a little bit later here. But with Rashaan Evans, you have a talented linebacker who doesn't have a ton of flaws. Like, he's not maybe the most athletic, not the biggest guy, but he's very well-rounded. He can make an impact for you right away. He gives you that linebacker that you want if you're the Saints, a guy who's shown a little bit more healthiness than a guy like Alex Anzalone. I think he can play right away as a weak side, or even a middle linebacker who puts on maybe just a little bit more weight. But he was highly productive at Alabama. I think he's going to go first round. He might go in like the top 15 if there's a run on linebackers early. He just happened to fall in this mock draft.
All right, Tom, you got Rashaan Evans going to the Saints at number 27. And selecting number 28 in the 2018 NFL mock draft here by Chat Sports, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 13-3 last season, have some needs on the defensive secondary. Perhaps could look at post-Ben Roethlisberger era as well.
Yeah, I don't think Joshua Dobbs is the answer. I think he's a backup, and I know Landry Jones is not the answer either. Safety makes some sense here. You could see him go Ronnie Harrison. That's an option. But I feel bad saying this, Cam. They got to replace Ryan Shazier. Because I feel bad even approaching it from an NFL perspective, because like his life is just more important than whatever it is on the field. But you have to approach it as he's not going to play football ever again. Hopefully he's able to walk and gets fully healthy and is able to live a normal life. But I don't like Vince Williams that much. If you don't have Shazier, you need at least one new starter at linebacker.
All right, let's get to that pick, number 28 for the Steelers. Pretty good linebacker here, Malik Jefferson out of Texas.
This is the type of player the Steelers are going to fall in love with. He didn't have the best production throughout his career at Texas. He was much better this year. But Malik Jefferson is at his best when he doesn't have to read and react, when he can just attack. And that's where his athleticism shines. Despite his good size, he's a fantastic athlete. He looks the part of an NFL linebacker. He's got all the physical traits and tools you want. But it just never quite clicked in the way that we think it can for Malik Jefferson. He's going to wow at the combine. If you let him be an attacking linebacker, he'll have success. But when he is forced to react to what's going on, when he's forced to read and then react, he'll over-pursue, get out of position. The upside is definitely there for Malik Jefferson, but he's not the finished product that his 110 tackles might otherwise suggest. But he is talented. Someone will fall in love with him, and I think he goes in the first round.
All right, so Tom, you have Malik Jefferson going to the Steelers at number 28 overall. Let's summarize what we have so far in our 2018 NFL mock draft. 1 through 4, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Quentin Nelson, and Saquon Barkley. Followed by Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Bradley Chubb, and Calvin Ridley to the Bears. Minka Fitzpatrick to the Niners. There's Roquan to the Raiders. Connor Williams to the Dolphins. Derwin James to the Bengals. Then the midway point of this draft here, Tremaine Edmonds to the Redskins. Denzel Ward to the Packers. Joshua Jackson to the Cardinals. Cortland Sutton to the Ravens. 17 through 20, Maurice Hurst to the Chargers. Orlando Brown to the Seahawks. Vita Vea to the Cowboys. Darius Geis to the Lions. Couple of Bills picks here. Daron Payne and Jaire Alexander, followed by Marcus Davenport to the Rams. James Washington to the Carolina Panthers. And then 25 through 28, Harold Landry, Isaiah Wynn, Rashaan Evans, and Malik Jefferson to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, folks, keep those comments coming. We're going to get to some of them on screen here in a little bit.
Absolutely. So keep those comments flowing in the section. We are presented by AutoList. Driving a car is fun. Car shopping should be too. Go to autolist.com or download their top-rated apps for iPhone or Android. All right, let's move along here in our 2018 NFL mock draft. Selecting number 29 in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars went all the way to the AFC Championship game to battle the New England Patriots in Foxborough. A big-time building block season for them. What do they got to do now?
They got to figure out the quarterback situation because I don't think it's Blake Bortles. And great fantasy a couple years ago, not the best actual NFL quarterback. Everything you know about how the Jaguars view Blake Bortles is summed up by the series before halftime against the Patriots. 50 seconds left, and they take a knee. They didn't trust Blake Bortles. Neither should their fans.
Microcosm of
exactly.
the trust.
But the issue is, at 29, I don't think they're going to go Lamar Jackson. As fun as that would be, remember, Tom Coughlin has influence there now. I think they're going to follow the Bill Parcells rules for drafting quarterbacks. That involves a 3-year starter and graduation. That is Mason Rudolph. I think they can take him in round 2, not round 1. So instead, I'm looking at the offensive line, and I think there is a fantastic fit here for Jacksonville.
All right, let's get to it. Pick number 29. And you've got Will Hernandez, guard there, going to the Jaguars. A big fit for them?
I think it's a perfect fit. He is a mauler and a power guard. He's not the best athlete, not the greatest height, but this is what we call a bowling ball build. When you're about 6'2 and a half and you weigh 340 pounds. Because you kind of look like a bowling ball. But he is going to maul linemen. Their offense is built around running the football with Leonard Fournette. Hernandez is perfect for that. Plug him in at guard and let him get holes open for Fournette, and the Jaguars will thrive on offense. I think he'd be a perfect fit for Jacksonville. If he lasts this long, you could see a run on guards a little bit earlier this year.
All right, so there's Will Hernandez going to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 29 overall. And selecting number 30 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings. And Tom, outside of quarterback, which is a really odd situation, all 3 of their quarterbacks are free agents, not a lot of needs here.
You'd love a guard, but Hernandez and Wynn just went off the board for you. You could go for a 3 technique, but I think that the Vikings want to see what Jalen Johnson can bring. I think they might try and bring back Tom Johnson as well. Cornerback could be an option here, but I think Minnesota's in the unique position where they can just say, you know what? Let's take the best player on the board regardless of position and see what happens there. Maybe you see they pull a Saints approach where they say, you know what? Let's just take a lineman.
All right, let's do it. Pick number 30. And Tom, you got Mike McGlinchey, tackle out of Notre Dame, going to the Vikings here. Fair share of concerns with him, especially in pass protection.
I worry about McGlinchey's ability to hold up against speed guys. I keep flashing back to the Georgia game, late in the game. He just got beat. I don't think he has the quickness to be a guy that holds up against speed. And at that point, maybe you can't be a left tackle. Maybe you go to right tackle. Maybe a team tries him at guard. But I do think he's worth a first-round pick. And I think he's the number 3 tackle in this year's class. I don't think he's going to go before Orlando Brown or before a Connor Williams.
That'd be a shock.
But he goes somewhere. Maybe the Vikings say, you know what, let's take him. Maybe play him at guard. Maybe they pull the Saints here and they say we're gonna use you as like a Ryan Ramczyk or an Andres Pete and say we're gonna have you play everywhere for a year, and then we're gonna let go of maybe like a Mike Remmers and plug you in at right tackle. It's a pure value pick here for Minnesota. But I don't love either of these last 3 picks here. But I do think they end up making sense if things end up going the way they do in terms of value.
All right, Tom, you've got Mike McGlinchey going to the Minnesota Vikings at number 30 overall. And picking number 31 overall in our 2018 NFL mock draft, the New England Patriots. Tom, big-time need in terms of pass rushing ability as well as inside linebacker.
They need a front 7 guy in general. I don't care if it's a defensive end, a defensive tackle, an inside linebacker, an outside linebacker. They need more talent there. Now, I don't think they're going to go corner, but I think one of those early spots of the Patriots is where they'll go. And I know one thing about Bill Belichick. He's going to prize a guy that not everyone else thinks he should go because he drafts differently than anyone else in the NFL. He consistently takes guys that go, wait a minute, really? That was not a guy I thought was going to go here. Yet he always does that. So maybe that's what happens here.
Very interesting. Let's do it. Pick number 31. There it is. Taven Bryan, defensive tackle out of Florida, Tom.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking with the Patriots. Okay. Is that Taven Bryan, I think, is going to sneak into the first round because he's going to be really athletic at the combine. He has all the upside you want. He has as much upside as a Maurice Hurst. The difference is he's not there yet in terms of development. He's still very raw, but he shows the flashes that you want to see. The Patriots don't really have an ideal 15. I think Trey Flowers plays more on the defensive end. You put Taven Bryan in, Malcolm Brown next to him as kind of more of the nose guard, and then you put Trey Flowers out there. Maybe you put Derek Rivers as your other defensive end because you spent a pick on him last year. Those 4 guys as your defensive linemen is a pretty good group. And I think Bryan can move around. He can be a 3 technique or a 5 technique. He has the athletic upside teams like. I think he's going to sneak into the first round somewhere. Maybe the Patriots pull the trigger on him.
All right, so Bryan going...
Again, no trade projected here. They'll probably end up trading out because that's what they always do.
Taven Bryan going number 31 overall to the New England Patriots. And finally, selecting number 32 overall in the 2018 NFL mock draft presented by Chat Sports here, the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champions.
I'm looking at 2 areas. They could go offensive line. If Mike McGlinchey falls, I think they're just going to pull the trigger on him. He makes sense. He can play at right tackle and Johnson to left or vice versa, and that's, I think, a better replacement maybe than Big V. But Nigel Bradham, Daniel Ellerbe, free agents. I don't know if you're going to be able to afford Bradham after having very little cap because you're very much tied up, but also set at most spots. So this is a guy the Commoners have been waiting for. Here's your linebacker.
Let's roll it. 32. The linebacker out of Boise State, Leighton Vander Esch, Tom.
He is going to get more hype at the Combine because I think there's a real chance that he wows at the Combine. Now, I saw a guy that's pretty quick and fast on tape. And I don't know if when I keep hearing say, oh, he's going to do really well at the Combine, I don't know if that means he's going to do as well as I think he will, or he's going to be even faster than I thought, or I think he's pretty quick and fast. But I do think Vander Esch goes somewhere in the first round. Only 1 year as a starter, but highly productive. I think he's going to test very well at the NFL Combine. There's a real chance he's in the top 20. That he could be the 3rd linebacker off the board, or even the 4th linebacker off the board. I don't see him getting out of the first round. I think he's got too much upside as an athletic linebacker. I think he's going to test well, and if he blows up the Combine, you know, he might end up going even higher than 32. I think he might very well end up being that, and I think after the Combine we'll get more clarity on where these guys go. It'd be a great pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles at number 32 overall. I don't know if he lasts this long. I know that some of the commenters loved him. He has the upside that teams want here. This would be a good pick for Philadelphia as well.
Leighton Vander Esch out of Boise State going to the Philadelphia Eagles at number 32 overall. The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, your Super Bowl 52 champions.